Hi, everybody. Joy Brooks with Email and Coffee. Another Friday, always Friday. You know what? It's always Friday. So on this Friday, we're talking to Paula Neff, and she's in Switzerland. So maybe we'll talk about chocolate. Go ahead.
Well, chocolate is always a great topic. Yeah, thank you so much, Joy, for having me here. It's
Sure.
such a pleasure to be here. It is Friday for you. It's earlier for me. It's later. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here with you
Tell
today.
us a little bit about what you do day to day for work, for yourself.
Well, I run my own business. I have a coaching business that is quite new. So I'm still in the building the business phase a lot. And it's a lot of work, but this is something I'm really passionate about and actually was a dream of mine many years ago when I first heard of anything like coaching. I thought, oh, this would be something. This could be, that was intriguing. But back then, that was like 15 years ago. Before kids, for sure. My older kid, my son is 12, so it's more than 12 years ago. And I was like, well, how could I ever be? That was like the end of it. And then many years ago by, and then at some point I had actually come up with an app for young dancers to build confidence. And in that, I built this confidence programs for dancers. And then I was guiding them through this program because the base program is 6 weeks. So I offered my guidance in the beginning, in the end, and in the middle. And I was doing that with a few of the dancers and explaining that to someone. That person who was listening to me was like, well, it sounds like coaching. It's like you're coaching them. And then it dawned on me. It was like a light bulb went off. It's like, wait a minute. That's something I was dreaming of so many years ago. And now I'm waking up and I'm doing it. And so that's how this whole thing actually started from going from confidence building for dancers to now I'm a leadership and performance coach. Also performance in terms of performing on stage and being present in front of people, and that's what I do, and leadership coaching. And at the bottom of all of this is actually wanting to make a little contribution in this world to prevent burnout and mental illnesses, because I myself went through burnout and 7 years of depression, and that's not necessary. It's not
Mhm.
necessary in the corporate world or in any kind of other world at all. And so I'm coaching leaders one on one. I do workshops, I facilitate things, and I speak publicly. So I'm a public speaker about this to get the message to as many people as possible. And leadership, because they have the most impact. They are the ones that
Mhm.
people, whoever they are leading, are looking up to. And it's often the nonverbal, the how you behave, how healthy your habits are as a leader, that the people around you will pick up. If you're always
Mhm.
online, if you're always on the phone, if you're 24 hours, 7 days a week, you're even on your holidays, you're there, people you who are looking up to you, they will do the same because they think that's the thing you're supposed to do. And then everybody
Right.
burns out. And if you have healthy habits as a leader and you're showing, look, I have boundaries. These are things important. And me as a human being, I'm a human being. One person. It's not a leader here and something else there. It's one human being. And if you discover that and this innate wisdom that you have to guide you along your way to find clarity, to be calm, and to be kind and find joy, the people around you will do that too. They
Mhm.
will
Mhm.
sense it, they will take your energy, they will pick up after you, and all in all, people will feel better. So, yeah, that's what I
It's
do.
That's what you do. It's when we grow up, we think, oh, we're out of school, we don't need teachers. That's not the case. We call them mentors, or, we, like you said, we associates, peers. But the point is that in the business world, and it's only gotten faster and bigger and more competitive, it's global now. Um, it becomes very difficult to navigate your way. You think, you go to school and you think of who you are. You thought you were going to be a dancer. You thought
Mhm.
you were going to do this, that, and the other thing. Some men decide that they're going to do this. Some women decide they're going to do that. And along the way, paths um, meander a bit. And sometimes the dream that you have, you're living it, but it's not what you thought it was.
Yeah,
And
and
that's not that it's wrong, it's that it's real and it has its own flavors. You've got a world of environment around you. It's not that your dream doesn't live in a vacuum. So it's changing by all by itself. Or I would say it's adapting all by itself. So, you have a dream and you meet someone and the dream changes because now you're sharing that dream. So many things happen in life. So many
mm,
things happen in life. And, having a teacher or even a very close friend that is wise enough not to yes you to death and is able to give you advice, these things are very important in life. So, the being a coach, it's not unusual to sort of grow into it like you did in
mhm.
an odd way because you said I'd like to be a coach. Oh, but that, well, I'm not me. What am I? And then you did what you did, and it ended up doing, it was like this, and then it ended up doing this again. It's kind of weird. And you mentioned the word of the day, for me anyway, and that's confidence. And confidence has a lot to do with everything that we do or everything that we don't do.
Oh,
Be-
yes.
because we could have a dream and think, oh, well, I'll never amount to that, or be told, oh, you'll never amount to that.
Yeah, and it's often our own words that we listen to, the inner criticism, the voice that we have within us, those thousands of thoughts that we have per day, and we get stuck with the thoughts that tell us, no, you're not confident enough or you're not good enough. And it's just, you don't really fit in. And when you listen to that long enough, then you don't feel confident because confidence is also something that you have to keep working on.
I don't think
It
it's
will
something that
go
you
away.
have. It's not something that you suddenly have. It really is something you need to work on because guess what? You're not confident enough to, travel by yourself. And finally you do. Oh, okay, I could do this again. But there's also the next thing that's going to happen that you need confidence for.
Mhm.
Life requires you to step out. So you're
Yes.
constantly building confidence in yourself to know, I did this. I was uncomfortable. I don't even think I like it, but I did it because I thought I wanted to do it. Okay. And, you don't, it's not that it was a mistake. I mean, you could call it a mistake if you like, but, sometimes slapping these labels on things can be wrong. Because if I say it was a mistake, I might not necessarily, or I regret it. I might not necessarily take the next step to say, well, what happened? What could I have done better? What did I really enjoy myself? Maybe I did, but I just don't want to do it again. What would I do the next time? So it's forever. Confidence is forever.
Hmm. And you can lose confidence too. I
Yeah.
mean, you can build up your confidence, and that if at the wrong time or the right time, whatever, the right word comes, and boom, you're in the right state of mind, kind of going in between or having some doubtful thoughts, and somebody comes and says something, even one word, and your confidence can go away.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, all you can hear, all you can think of is that one word. Somebody saying, that wasn't good enough, or whatever it is that takes away all the confidence that you build up. And then it's a matter of, all right, returning back to all the work that you've done to build the confidence, and reminding yourself of those stories that you already have in your back pocket, everything that you've ever gone through in your life to build the confidence to some point, and to be remind yourself of that and be like, look, actually within me, in all my being, all my experience, I have already done so many things that have built my confidence, that have been courageous steps, because courageous steps builds confidence. When you step outside of your comfort zone, that's the only way to really build confidence. Otherwise, you're like in this cage or in this, secure environment, but nothing happens.
Right.
Then you
I think
wonder
that a
why.
lot of us, I think that many of us, we might perceive of it in such a way that we convince ourselves that we're not confident. In the meantime, we've accomplished quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you have to be kind to yourself and say, wait a minute, didn't I do this? Didn't I do that? I'm a good person. There have been situations where I've collaborated with people that were far more aggressive than I am. Now, again, I don't know if I want to go with the label passive aggressive, but given a situation where somebody is more aggressive than I am, I back off. I let them go because I'm not competing. If they want to shout louder than I am, I'm not going to start screaming. If they want to, take center stage, I'm not going to push them away. And if they're going to take center stage and not move, I'm done. I'm done. I don't come away from that saying I'm not confident enough. I come away from that saying this was not the right person to collaborate with, and I
Mm-hmm.
need to recognize that in the future. Now
And
it's
you
a
learn from
it's a
everything.
big bummer. It's a big bummer, but it
Hmm.
happens.
Yeah, I mean, there always needs to be a right timing for everything. It could be that that person who at that one time seems to be taking center stage and not moving, well, maybe sometime later there's another time and you meet them again, and then the energy has shifted. Your energy, their energy, the situation, the kind of collaboration that you're looking for, and there you go. And
Or
a
perhaps they're the
collaboration
same.
can come. Yeah.
Or perhaps they're the same. The thing is, you need to understand that it's not that you don't have confidence. There's sort of like the nature nurture type of thing. It could be you could have all the intelligence in the world. You could have all the skill in the world. You could have it all. Absolutely. You're ready to go. And it's just the wrong environment. It's just not right. And it's not going to work. And it's not necessarily, you shouldn't be saying to yourself, oh, it's me. I'm not good enough for the situation. It's situation is just not the right situation. And
Yeah.
you might be able to either recognize what's wrong in the situation and be able to think out of the box so the next time I can rise to the occasion, or you realize this is just not the right situation for me. And that's okay because that means it's like clients for you. You know the type of client that you can work with. If you're constantly getting the wrong client, you could think over time, I'm the worst coach in the world.
Hmm.
But it's not
Definitely.
you. It's them.
Well, it's not either one. It's the connection, that
Relationship.
magic that has to come from both sides. There's nobody to blame, or it's just
Right.
not the right time, not the right kind of mindset, whatever it is that is not just aligning. It needs to align, and alignment is not forever. Alignment can be right now, here, and it goes, and then at some point it's no longer in alignment, it's time to part. Or the other way around. Right now it might be apart, and then at some point roads come back again, and these are the ways that the universe works. It's the magic that we cannot predict. We cannot
Hmm.
know how and when and where and exactly. And that's what is hard to for us to wrap our heads around, because we cannot control all of it. We are not in control of it all. We can control certain parts, and but not everything. But that's also the beauty of it, to allow
Exactly.
that magic to happen. How many times, like every single encounter, important relationship has never been orchestrated by you to the exact every single step of the
Right.
way.
Right.
Never. It's always with,
And,
oh, I met this person. It was just like, this moment, like I just happened to go there and it was by surprise. And all this happens all the time, right? And it was not orchestrated by anyone.
and those are really the magical moments. And they're not A lot of people would like to have the control and the power conversation, and that's not what confidence, I mean, in my mind, that's not what confidence is about. Like you said, you're not in control, and if it's all about power, you are never going to be satisfied, because once you have this much power, you want this much power, then you want that much power, and suddenly you want all the power in the world, and now you're not happy.
Yeah,
Or
because
you've got all the power in the world and everyone else is miserable.
yeah, and then things are still not going exactly like you like.
Right, right.
It's still not happening that way. And I think confidence also comes from being comfortable not knowing.
Right. Right.
You have to be
Exactly.
able to, whether it is knowing, a subject matter, knowing nobody knows everything, or also in the not knowing the uncertainty of the future. We don't know. We
Right.
never will know exactly how things are going to happen or, what happens even 5 minutes from now. We don't. But they have to be comfortable with that. Have some kind of clarity about who you are, that
Right.
clarity about who you are. And that is a lifelong process because you keep evolving. But that clarity will, once you are aligned with who you are, you're able to be in a place where you're okay with things coming your way and you can respond in ways that you, yeah, here comes again that same word, alignment, where you're aligned with, that you
Mhm.
feel good about it, that you
Or
don't
even
end up
so,
regretting.
if you're in a position and you are comfortable and confident and things aren't going your way, like I said before, it's okay. You could deal with that. It's not suddenly, I hate this person. They've just destroyed my life. They're like, this wasn't the right situation. Everybody, peace, peace out. And, you move on and you've learned something. It's not, I I do use the word regret in a positive way, and I say that for me, in any case, regret for me is a positive experience, because I say, I should have done that. Okay, the next time I will. Not, I should have done that. Now my life is damned, and
Yeah,
I'll never. That's not it. You know, do you? Is there like? Is there a? I'm going to say an exercise or a tool. Is there some like tip for people who are trying to build up their confidence, something, some exercise, something that you tell people to do? I know it
yeah.
can't be small.
Actually, yeah. I mean, when I built that program for the young dancers, I came up with the first week was built by me all by itself, myself. And then the following weeks were built together as a co-creation with these young dancers that were my first group. And in that first week, I came up with like a foundation of confidence that I had come up with myself through a lot of experimenting and just finding my way. Because I had 7 years of depression and that took a lot. And once I came out of that, I started discovering all kinds of things that worked out. And the number one is gratitude. Number one in that foundation, it will always be, is gratitude. Gratitude builds confidence. Because when you're able to find things that are positive, when you're able to recognize the fact that you have the power to change your thoughts, if you notice that you are always thinking things negative, or there comes these spirals of thoughts that just keep spiraling to more and more negativity, and you always keep thinking the worst, when you catch yourself, you have the power to choose something else. You always have the power to choose another thought. And if you go to gratitude, it is inherently positive. You cannot be grateful and that be something negative. It cannot be negative. And so any time and any place when you notice, okay, snap out of it, that
Right.
I'm thinking all these things and they're just making me feel worse and worse and worse. Well, then choose another thought. So that gratitude builds confidence, because then you're already in a more positive and a higher energy space where you feel like, oh, well, actually, maybe I am able to do something that I was afraid of doing before.
Mhm.
Because you find gratitude in a place and space and time and who you are right now.
Mhm.
And so you're able to take one little step and not huge leaps, not jumps off the cliff and stuff like that. Just one little step towards something that you felt uncomfortable with. And then you notice, oh, that little step worked out. All right, good. Well, let me try the next one. And through gratitude, you're able to direct your thoughts, your mind, to place where you are more able to take these steps. So gratitude's one, and then another one is forgiveness. Forgiveness is together with letting go. Forgiving yourself, forgiving yourself for so many things. We often think of forgiveness of saying I'm sorry to someone else, which is also a part of it, right? But especially being able to forgive yourself. We keep beating ourselves. I mean, I'm talking about myself. I still do sometimes. Of course, I'm human too. Beat myself up for things that happened in the past. There's nothing I can do about that. Nothing at all. I cannot change anything in the past. And so, forgiving myself, being able to come through the process of letting go and be like, all right, well, that's what happened. The only thing I can change is my attitude towards what I did, said, didn't do, didn't say. Oh, how I reacted to something that I felt was a wrongdoing from someone else. Because it's not always, but often it's our reaction to something that we feel like is a wrongdoing to us by someone else that we are then contemplating for years, often decades
Mhm.
even. And what if you were able to forgive yourself? And then that will open up space inside of you for new experiences, for new thoughts, for new things that then allow you to again go towards the courageous steps, which will build the confidence. And as with confidence builds, you're able to take even more courageous steps. It's a confidence and courage are together. They go
Yes.
one after the other. And so those are the basic two pillars. And then I had things like the way you create distance to your thoughts, like journaling, meditation, visualization is one thing that will build confidence. Because if you're able to create a vision, a very strong vision, a vision is bigger than a goal. It's a vision about how you're going to feel
Mhm.
at the end of this year. For example, this is what I've been talking with clients about also, is creating a vision for the end of this year. We're now getting closer and closer, of course, to the end, like, well, we always do, right? Since the beginning of the year, we get closer to the end of the year, right? And now we have a little more than 2 months to go. And it's important to now think, okay, well, how do I want to, what kind of a state of mind, what kind of emotional state of my being do I want to be in at the end of this year, so that whatever goes on to the next year is going to be at a solid, positive, as high as possible foundation. And I feel confident about the next year because it's always some kind of significance to changing the year. There is, because there's so much talk about it. Everyone talks about this. And so what if you just, didn't like go all the way down and be like, oh, I'm going to shut everything down now. Nothing's going to happen till the end of the year, the holidays and blah. You're creating this stress.
Mhm.
And that's not being confident. That's like hiding. It's like, oh, don't even talk about that. What if
It's
you
like
were
saying,
able,
"Never mind," and your life is
yeah,
in
never
never
mind.
moment.
And then
Never mind, never mind.
yeah, and then January comes and you're like, "Oh my goodness, what new year, blah," and you're in stress again. And what if you were able to create the vision that even though holidays come, even though there's stress that's going to come from whatever it is, until then, you're able to always come back to that vision. Be like, "Oh
Mhm.
no, my vision that goes over all the holidays, that goes past all the stressful moments, that goes beyond anything that happens in between, that every time you're able to connect with that vision, feel that this is how I'm going to feel at the end of the year. This is how I'm going to be in my mental state is going to be here, my physical state is going to be here, and nothing will come across that will break that vision. And so you're confident, okay, whatever comes, the holidays. For a lot of people, that's stressful. Family can be stressful, one after the other, especially over there in the US. You got a lot of holidays, and we don't have as many over here. But, we also got Christmas here. And so that's creates a lot of stress and holiday from school holidays, kids out of school. And so, and also money wise, a lot of people have stress because of that. Well, what if your vision was so compelling and so emotionally attached to you that whatever comes is not going to hit through that wall? Your
Hmm.
confidence stays at a high level that all right, I'm not going to let it break through that wall because my vision is so much more important than any daily stressful situation that comes along this way. And then
I
imagine starting your year from that.
I had the chance to meet with somebody who mentioned that what she does is she writes, oftentimes she writes 7 little habits that she wants to
Mm,
focus on. Little, not big. So it's not like I want to make $1 million. It's more like I want to walk every day. I want to eat more healthy. So I made a list, and I can't remember all of them, but one was drink more water. The other was read more. And like I said, the other 5 I can't remember, but I'm sticking with those 2 for sure. And the point is, the vision doesn't need to be, I want to make $1 million. The vision can simply be, I'd like to be over the holiday, I'd like to enjoy seeing family. I
yeah,
want to be grateful for family. It can be very, very specific so that when you say to yourself, I want to enjoy being with family that day that you spend Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or whatever, New Year's, whatever it is, you say to yourself, I'm going to make a point of enjoying myself. And
yeah,
you see it happen and you make it happen. And instead of
yeah,
walking away going, so stupid, you walk away saying, that was so funny.
yeah. I mean, and you alone, if you go with like this is what I did with a couple of clients last year for the holidays. They had experienced, both of them had experienced holidays is quite stressful, and there was always like patterns of really negative things happening, and every year, same thing. So that we were able to break these patterns by introducing gratitude into their holiday practice, which at first seems like, especially like for me as well. It was before I woke up to from my depression and started discovering all these things. I was like, what? Gratitude. And if I was to tell my mom about that, she'd be like, what are you talking about? And this often it is with the older generation. I was like, well, what if it was just an experiment? What if you set the stage and set some boundaries and said, look, these things, I mean, they've been coming every year, these negative things that nobody likes. What if this year we're just gonna, share something we're grateful for? Because your intention for the holidays, your personal intention for the holidays is to be grateful. How can,
Mhm.
and for you to be grateful, what better way than to share that with others?
Right, right,
And
right.
so introducing something that might be, at first sound like, oh my goodness, what is this? But people go along. And the more you start talking about gratitude, even if it's like, well, kind of it feels like it's forcing it. Okay, let's just share it with everyone. One thing you're grateful for this year. That
All you need
happened
to
this
do is
year.
walk over to somebody and say, remember the time that we did this? I really, I think about that all the time. So you're not saying I'm grateful for that. Basically, you're having the conversation with that person about a
Yeah,
time that was really good. That is clearly I'm grateful that I had,
yeah.
that you were in my life.
And then you can
Now,
encourage other people to do the same so that your intention, which was your personal intention for that, is now being spread throughout the other people too. And so your intention, your vision will become reality because the
mhm,
vision doesn't become reality just by thinking about it. Action needs to
No,
happen.
no, no.
And
Right,
action is usually this is inspired action. You feel an impulse to do something, to say something, to approach some person, to whatever it is, and you go with that. And you trust, look, you can only make things better when your intention is good.
right,
It cannot go worse. Nothing can go backwards in time or in anything. We keep moving forward no matter what. And that's just a fact. We cannot go backwards. So anything that you do, if your intention is good, if your intention is positive, it will only be positive in the end.
and with the grateful, there's a little bit of grace and graciousness where, let's say it backfires. Oh, remember the time that I came to your house and we had such a good time? Remember it was that, that time in November, and you look at me and go, my cat died? Right, that's right, that's what. And suddenly it's like it's all negative. It's like I didn't want to talk about your cat dying. And you think to yourself, well, I really messed that up. But don't again. Um, over time, you'll learn that these things happen. Right? You go there with the best of intentions. You say everything the right way, and sometimes it doesn't work. You learn how to say, okay, you know what? Um, yeah, I'm really sorry about the cat. That was such a great cat. Remember, how great I remember the time, and just go with it. Don't sit there and go, yeah, the cat died. Oh shit, I'm such an idiot. No, go with it. Oh, that was the best cat in the world. What was that cat's name? Let's talk about the cat a little. You know what I'm saying? So you can learn how to become flexible.
Well, the
Uh,
thing is here, you cannot plan. You can have the intention, but you cannot plan how it's going to happen. The
right.
words that are going to come out of your mouth, and also the least control you have is whatever other people are going to say. You have no control over other people's reactions, their responses, their whatever facial
You
expression.
go with you go with the great you go with you're graceful in the gratitude.
Yes.
So, like, the ballerina thing. So, you make a move and somebody's off just a little bit. You don't go like this in the middle of the show and go, "Oh, that's it. I'm gone," and stomp off. You continue, gracefully continue. The ice skater does that. Every athlete in competition realizes I've made a little bit of a mistake and I'm going with it. I've got to keep going, and has the that bend like a reed in the wind, up, feeling that it's sometimes it's going to happen.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, you say this, they say this. Maybe it's like you want it to be here and it goes down a little bit. Well, maybe it'll go right back all the way up. So you shouldn't give up. You don't know.
Yeah, and the thing is
The
that
intention.
approaching with an open mind and just trusting the process. Look, you cannot control other people. And if you come with an open mind, you will, and you come with a mind of listening. You listen to the other people. If you really listen, you don't have to you cannot even if you weren't listening, you can't pre-think your responses because you don't know what's going to come. But if you're really good at listening and you allow the space and you have your eyes listening as well, you will recognize, you will know immediately. You don't have to think about your next response. You don't have to think what to say when somebody says their cat died. Well, you know, you know. You trust your intuition, you trust your inner wisdom because it's there, and just go with it. And your intention originally, you keep at that intention, that vision about something, you keep holding on to that because that will keep you and your mind in the right direction. And it's not like you have to change your intention in the middle of something. No, your intention is still there.
Mhm.
You just have to be
Confidence,
flexible.
confidence is a quiet thing.
Yeah.
It's not this big loud thing. It's sort of like instead of it being this big exciting boom. It's this steady frequency through life where you can easily regroup from a high or a low, as long as it's as long as you begin to understand how to do that for yourself. So I've had a bad day. Should I sit down and have, bar chocolate and a whole pizza and potato chips? Or, should I, which would be a huge low, like I'm already feeling low, let's go lower. Or do I want to, like you said, you can make a choice. What are you thinking about? Think of something else. What do you enjoy? Oh, you know what? Although I do enjoy chocolate, ice cream, pizza, I would rather take the dogs for a walk. I would rather call a friend I haven't talked to in a long time. Whatever it is. Like pick up try to pick up on a high note. So um, you keep yourself from diving down or even going too high. You don't want to like go constantly be going up and down.
No, and the thing is that for those occasions where, because they will come when there's a lot of doubt and you feel like nothing's working out, the good times are the times to build your toolbox. They're the times where you know, okay, well, when that bad time comes, I have tools. I know what to do. I know I can call friends. I know, okay, I can go for a walk and that will make me feel better. Or I know, okay, well, for that one time, um, I can start writing about it. Just, madly writing about something just to get it out of my head. That's one tool. And you experiment with these tools when things are good, not when things go bad and you're like, oh, mom, what was it that somebody, no, you build your toolbox when you're feeling good. So okay, well, what can I pick from there now that would work? So that you don't have to think too much. You already have them. You already tried them once at least. It's like, okay, well, journaling at that point really made me feel like I can get things out of my head and get a little perspective, some distance. And that might help. Or just get out and, look at some other things, look at the nature or engage in something that completely takes your mind out of other things. Like some people do painting, or you do some kind of sports that's very intense that will, whatever it is for you. But you have these
Hmm.
tools. You know what makes you feel good, that you've already got them next to you, and you can even write them down so that you don't even have to remember. You're like, okay, these are my 7 things here in front of me. They're glued to the wall. All right. I feel so bad. Okay. It says, go pick some flowers. All right. Well, let me go pick some, whatever it is. And you do that and you follow that and take a cold shower, whatever it is. And these are also things that I learned from, actually, originally, when I was in one of my many times I was in a clinic when I was depressed, and it was a DBT. It was, I don't remember where that comes from, that some kind of therapy. And there, that's the toolbox idea comes from there. It's there were all these tools from when you were feeling like, because actually at one point I got diagnosed with borderline um, uh, syndrome. And so a lot of borderline people, they hurt themselves, or they do things that are harmful. And if that such an impulse comes, the purpose of the DBT is to build these tools. You have whatever it is that takes your mind away from that we want to do, which is harmful. And you do something else, like, yeah, stick your head in a bucket of ice or whatever. There are all these things. So that's the idea where it comes from. So a lot of things that I learned from my years of a lot of clinic visits, which are now coming to life. I've taken it all in. I couldn't use it then, but I can use it all now. And I love the idea of having a toolbox and just being there, like, look. And the best is to have a concrete something that you can look at. If you really have a bad moment, well, I can call this person or this person. I can do that. I can go there. and you know that will break the cycle.
I think that's these are some of the things that people should be doing as they're growing, learning how to do them because they're survivor skills. I mean,
Mm.
really, they are survival skills.
Yeah.
And it's not that we're islands. We're not islands. So humans are social animals. But many times in this world where it gets really cluttered fast, um, and it gets very confusing, we will retreat, right? So fight or flee. Well, we'll flee instead of fighting. Some of us fight, some of us flee. So we flee into a corner and we panic and we go into panic mode. And a lot of people, that's where a lot of people are.
Mm.
They're in panic mode. And everything that they do is out of panic and they don't know how to get themselves out. And I'm not saying it's easy, but
Mm.
what I am saying is if we're taught about the toolbox young enough so
Mm.
that we can catch those thoughts and begin to say, okay, when this happens, this is what I do. And
Yeah.
the toolbox grows and grows and grows and grows
Yeah.
until, you're somewhat independent and you're
Mm.
not necessarily um, reacting to everything that goes on around you. Because, yes, you know, we react. The news is bad, we react. But how long are you going to take that reaction, and how far are you going to take that reaction? So are you hear bad news, are you going to be reacting for a month? Are you going to be, the end of the world is now, it's near, it's coming, it's here, and are you going to be reacting because the news was bad, and now you're going to be planning everything? Sometimes maybe it is the end of the world. Not saying, but I'm merely saying that if you've got the toolbox, you say, well, obviously, if it is the end of the world, you know, I still have a few things to do, so let's go ahead and do them. I mean, let's say it is true, it's the end of the world. Okay, so I have a few things I got to get done. So let's get them done. Or, oh, you know what? It's my perception and I'm just reacting to the news. I got to stop this. How do I do that? Well, turn the news off and then do this, and, like you said, these are all different flavors of confidence because
Mm.
you've got to be confident in yourself to be able to drag yourself out of a spiral.
Yeah.
Somebody else can say snap out of it and it may work. May work. It may not. You may say, oh, shut up. You don't understand. You're not me. You don't know how I
But you
feel.
should be the one telling yourself to snap out of it, because if that comes from someone else, you will not. I mean, it just doesn't work. We don't work like that, we humans. It has to be your inner, like for me, for example, coming out of the depression, all those times in the clinics, I was not ready. I wasn't ready to hear the word that was the thing, word responsibility. I was like being pounded on my head. I was blaming myself. I couldn't hear the word in a positive way until I was in a place at the end of my depression where I was more open. And as I was listening, and I actually could participated in this Tony Robbins thing, which for me, being in Europe, Tony Robbins is not such a big figure. He's well known, but not so many people know about him. And my knowledge of him was this crazy American dude jumping on the stage. There we go. And I was like, what is this about? And at that point, I was like, look, it doesn't make any difference. It's not going to make my life worse. I'm just going to go along. I'm all by myself. I was visiting my mom in Finland, and she was already in bed because they always happen at late at night, our time. And I was like, look, I'm just going to give it a go. And I was jumping up and down. I was doing everything. I was doing all that stuff. And at some point, he said responsibility about, and then, and in kind of a light that it dawned on me that the word responsibility was now an opportunity. I was in a different place, the same word, that for so many years I had only been seeing and hearing in a negative way as being a blame. I am to blame for everything. And then all of a sudden, that one time, that one same word for me was like, wow, oh man, if I'm responsible for me, well, then I can choose everything. I can choose my thoughts. I can choose my emotions. I can choose how I respond to things. I do not have to react. I can respond. And I get to choose how I think about how I respond, how I react. I'm in control of all of this.
It's just a knee jerk. It's not just like, no, it's like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to hear something, sit back, think about it, and then make a decision as opposed to just reply.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know what? Sometimes you just reply. Okay. All right. But,
Yeah, and if
it's
you don't like your reply, then you recognize it, you have your
the opportunity.
responsibility to choose another way and say, look, next time that happens, I'm not going that way again. I'm going to recognize and I'm being aware, and I choose another route. I choose to do this instead of going that way. And that's the power we have, and we only have it for our own lives, for us, not for anyone else. And also in my leadership coaching is the big breakthrough often is just realizing, look, even you as a leader, even if you were a leader of, I don't know, 100,000 people, it doesn't matter. You're still only responsible for your own being, for your
Right.
own. You're not responsible for everybody else's inner works, their human beingness. Not. They are responsible for themselves. And that's a thought of freedom for me. Because I'm only responsible for me.
I used to, I believe that people, if you act, not talk, but if you act out how you feel, and you do, and your work is like the good work, people recognize that. But that doesn't mean that everybody's going to follow the good work. And you can't
Mm,
necessarily hold it against them, nor should you think, oh, well, it doesn't matter. I could do good or bad. It doesn't matter because people, if everybody only did good things, there you go. So I'm not worried about what other people are doing. I figure I'm going to do the best I can. Um, and I'm going to try to do the best I can the next time and the next time and the next time. And I realize that some people will follow that and they'll do good things and some people won't. And
mhm,
that's okay. And they're not to worry about. It's, how I could do it better next time or good next time. Better is a word that means something only to me. I'm not better than you are, right? I'm only better than I was.
mhm,
But I don't like to think of myself or other people, or even if I do, because I'm human and I go and I do get envy and jealousy, and I think, oh, she's better than I am, you know, oh, and I get, yeah, I go into that spiral of they're prettier, they're richer, they're smarter, they're friendlier, all of these things. And why am I not? And I realize it's meaningless. There's no end to this conversation. There's no
mhm.
answer.
Exactly.
So why go there? Because it's a constant. There are people that are going to be different, and you could say they're better. You don't know, but you're thinking that why? Because you're not confident in who you are. And that's again, you go back to that thing where, you know what? I just got to be happy with who I am. And then, the grateful thing comes in where you're like, I got to be happy for what I've got.
Mhm,
And if I can accumulate more happiness from what I have and understanding and forgive myself, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When I look at somebody that has something that I aspire, that's something that inspires me. So I wish that I could be a great speaker, and I'm sitting there, and there's the woman who comes on stage and she looks just like me. She's my age and she's the greatest speaker in the world. And I think to myself, I'm such a failure. I could be like her. Turn it around. Isn't she inspiring?
Mm-hmm.
Not I could be, wish be. No, isn't she inspiring? Period. The end.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Exactly.
difficult to do that.
It is because it's stepping over your like your own shadow. It's like seeing beyond the first response, which could be of jealousy. I mean, with the dancers that I was working with, it's the same thing. Is that you're always comparing with others, who what you look like, how high your legs are, how many pirouettes, how high your jumps, how everything, the position of your fingers, whatever, everything. And instead of going towards jealousy, going towards admiration.
Right.
Be like, wow, that person, their extension, their line is really
But
beautiful. What can I do if I want to achieve the same
right,
or
exactly.
something similar? How can I do that? And to see that as a curiosity, out of curiosity, and as an, like you said, inspiration, admiration. And
Yeah,
yeah, because I mean, we're human. We will, of course, I get jealous too. And I try to make myself or awaken and snap out of it and be like, all right, why do I feel this? Allow myself to feel it because, yeah, it's one of those feelings that just comes. And if you allow it to, you allow yourself to feel it, it will go away like everything else. Nothing will stick unless we stick to it.
yeah,
Nothing will stick. Everything will just flow through in life unless we put meaning to it or unless we get stuck with something.
right. It's difficult to sometimes it may be the way that we were taught success and failure, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm not saying that when your team loses that you should, that you should be all excited about losing, but the way to deal with that is to understand that sometimes you're not going to win, and what can I take out of it, and not, again, not regret it. Okay, it was a low point. Like, you could talk about your depression and then you come back and you say, I learned so much from it.
Mm.
So, people say, what's the thing that you regret the most? Or, what would you tell your 15-year-old self, whatever, all those things. And I keep saying, I would not be the person I am today if I wasn't that idiot that I was then. So I love that idiot because
Mhm.
I am who I am. Now, I can only say that because my perception is that I'm grateful for the mistakes and I'm happy for the experience and all of these things. And I feel that today I'm more understanding, more tolerant, more blah 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 blah. As a result of that, um, there were things that I didn't enjoy. There were plenty of things I didn't enjoy. I don't want to go back and do those things again. No, I say oftentimes, I don't want to go back to high school. Please don't. I, you know, I'd love to. I'd love to be that 16-year-old self and do things differently. But if I do them differently, then I wouldn't be who I am today.
No. Mhm.
So, so you know, so that's why I say it's the whole thing. You have to be grateful for the good, the bad, and the ugly, and
Mhm.
realize that there's a lot in the world, and what you don't have and they have. Um, they may have looks, they may have money, you may have talent, right? You
Mhm.
you you maybe you're a
But the
singer
thing
and
is
they're a
also with
dancer,
the looks and the money and all that, well, you don't know what's behind that.
right? Right?
A lot
Right?
of people that you look at and you have no idea what their story is, what's going on in their mind. And that's that coming also with from this perspective, approaching every single human being that you encounter from that point of respect, like, look, I don't know what's going on in their world. what they've been through, how they started their day to it all plays a role in how we communicate, how we understand others. And that is such a that realization and being able to live like that is it's a challenge because yeah, you don't encounter every person like this. But if you are able to increase the times that you see other people as people,
Mhm.
just like you, everybody's a person instead of an object or something else. Then well, if we saw everybody like this, we wouldn't
Oh,
have any
please.
wars.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Do you in your business, are there personal challenges? Are they business challenges? Like what are the combinations of these things?
Both,
Both?
both, because I don't, even if I'm coaching a business leader and then I'm coaching them as a leader of that business, but first of all, they're human. They're human, and their issues or whatever it is in the background, it's their human thing. It's there is no separation between them as a leader and then as a something else human. It's some one person, and so yes, even if it's business coaching, it touches the humans. And then if it's got to do with business issues, because I am a certified business coach and consultant, so I'm touch upon those things as well as building businesses or especially with startups. But often, especially with startups, when it's just very few, even just the one person, an entrepreneur, it's everything is about the human, everything. And it's that mindset that needs to be worked with first, and then might come some concrete business things to deal with. But first of all, the mindset, the whole humanness, human being
Well,
is
otherwise, if you don't hold on to that humanity, you will burn out because you're not super person.
yeah.
You know.
And if you recognize and allow yourself to be that one person everywhere, and you're true to yourself, yeah, sure, then you're much better off. You're healthier, you're happier, you have more joy in your life. Your life is more simple and clear, and you're a better leader, and your
Do
business
you
will run better.
do you have do you see a difference in if you work with different people in the younger business person and the older business person?
Yeah, but not all the same differences. There's differences
Right.
between the older ones and differences between the younger ones. It's oftentimes it's the openness. Sometimes the younger business people are not as open to accepting advice, or not even advice, just someone like, accepting the fact that they might need someone to listen to them, that
Hmm.
that is a benefit, especially with really young leaders who are in their first leadership position. They have this, and they oftentimes there's this like, well, I know everything. And until you come to the realization, look, I don't know everything. And sometimes, although there are, this is not this generalization, there are exceptions. There are young people who are open and they acknowledge the fact that, look, I can only become a better leader if I have someone who is my kind of like a mirror or a sounding board, some place where I can deposit things, who is non-judgmental, which is who coaches are. Non-judgmental, a sounding board, someone who allows them to speak out their mind and not say anything.
Right.
It's the art of listening and allowing the space so that you, if you're being coached, you figure it out yourself
They're
because the
almost like
answers are here.
I've often thought of coaches as professional friends.
Yeah,
Um,
without
because,
judgment.
yeah, because they're not necessarily going to judge, and they're not um, There's no skin there other than the relationship, the business relationship. There's no skin in the game where you say, "Oh, I'm going to lose my best friend if I say this."
Mhm.
There, you're going to say, "Okay, I need to say this right now," and you're going to have that professional conversation, and they'll take it or they'll leave it. And the point is, um, sometimes friends can say these things to each other, and sometimes they can't, and that's why there's a point in time where everyone needs that coaching relationship, that mentor relationship, that the that whether it's business or, I mean, you could be a mom, you could be a young person. It doesn't really matter. You need that relationship, the teacher and young person relationship, where the teacher's going to turn around and say, "Do you really think that's a good idea? Let's talk about it," and you're willing to talk about it. As
Mhm.
opposed to your mom saying, "Don't do that," and you do the opposite, because when your mom says, "Don't do that," you do the opposite thing. you know,
Mhm.
um, and we all go through that. And I think that's the beauty of being young. It really is. I don't think that young people need to necessarily um, like become less ambitious. That is the time to think they know it all. Because
Mhm.
if they're guided correctly, that's when they learn to be gracious. They learn their confidence. They begin to realize boundaries, and they recognize what can be obtained and what can't. If they have all those um, aspirations and they think they can change the world, if they're led correctly and not broken, they're led correctly, they can become something special.
Mhm.
But if they're just broken, when you get that first job, and
Mhm.
I mean, that's what happened to me over and over again. In the business world, in the corporate world, I was broken each time. And I'm not saying blame it on somebody. I'm saying that my personality was not aggressive, but it was very ambitious. I knew what I wanted, or at least I thought I knew what I wanted, and I like ran for it, grabbed it, and celebrated it. And no one recognized that ambition in me. They just thought I was either wildly focused on something, in
Mhm.
which case, if I'm focused on going this way, then let's not bother with this stuff because she doesn't want that. She's going here. And they didn't realize that I was just very, I had a big personality. That's really all it was. I had a lot of skills and a big personality, and I wasn't focused, and I didn't know what I wanted. But each break I got, instead of it was a good break, it broke me. And I thought, oh, they don't understand me. And I would leave the job and I would be upset, and it was terrible and a bad experience. And over and over, that happened to me until I became a freelancer. And I realized, oh, it's really a matter of me disciplining myself. It took a long time for me to understand that. And nobody came to me and said, you're like a wild horse. You need not to be broken. You just need, you need to calm down. You
Mhm.
need to understand how to take the ride. Because once you do that, it's going to be beautiful. And I had to do it myself. I had to discipline myself.
Mhm.
Not everybody is lucky enough. I'm grateful for that. Not everybody's lucky enough.
Mm, true.
Or, or they, you know,
Maybe not aware enough.
yeah. I just, I could have gone either way. I could still be miserable. I really could. I could still be miserable. And I'd say it was about 5 years ago when I was miserable.
Mhm.
And um, it has been um, really an oddly beautiful road, realizing that everything that I did was greatness, while I was doing it, I felt like it was the worst thing in the world.
Mm. But that often happens. We don't recognize the greatness in the moment, right? It comes afterwards, just like the lessons from the adversity. You do not see the adversity as a source of lessons or as a source of power until you've passed it. And then you look back, you're like, oh, right, yes, that was one of the biggest sources. Or that was one of the biggest moments of greatness for me. And then you can still celebrate it. You don't have to realize it and then there's no too late to celebrate. You can celebrate anytime, anything. And the more you realize
I
that,
love
the
that.
better
It's
you
not too
get at
late to
it.
celebrate.
Mm-hmm. You can celebrate now for all the great things that you've done.
I think that's a point that people, especially when you're spiraling, that's, you're just like, wait a minute, maybe it's time to celebrate. What happens to me oftentimes, and it's so common for everybody. You're about to do something that's stressful, or stress doesn't necessarily, it's not a negative thing. It could be a trip, it could be a project, it could be a holiday dinner. I mean, it could be any amount of things. It's not necessarily something huge. And you wake up in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom, you come out, you lay down, and now you cannot go back to sleep. While all the other times you go right back to sleep, out. But this time you're like, what about this? What about that? What about the? Oh my god! And
Mm.
you're off. You're off and running. And sometimes I am like, you know what? I need to go with this. So I'm in the spiral, and I need to go with this because I don't know what's bothering me. Like I don't have anything anxious going on. What am I anxious about? Because you
Mm-hmm.
may have something deep seated that's surfacing because somebody might have said something to you, or you might have had a situation that reminded you of something. You might have watched a movie and it brought back a memory, whatever, whatever it is. And sometimes I am like, okay, so what am I feeling? I'm feeling anxious. What am I anxious about? What is it? Where's the trepidation here? What is it that I'm not looking forward to? And sometimes I'll be like, I know exactly what it is. It's like that age old thing. The project is due. I'm anxious about the project. I know I can do it, confidence. I know I can do it. I'm just thinking about doing it. Oftentimes, before you start anything, you get all flustered. It could be anything. Baking a cake. It could be about a trip. Before you do it, you get all flustered until you get into the moment, and then it's, oh, okay, I got it. I'm good here. You could have a project that's coming up, and you're like, how am I going to do this? When am I going to do this? Should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? And you get all flustered until you figure it out and you start in it, and then it's you know what you're doing.
Or you tell yourself it's in the middle of the night. You keep telling yourself, look, this is not the time for that.
Right.
My nighttime is for sleep. And that sometimes works when you tell yourself, no, let me write it down. These are the words that come first. What if it's a specific thing that keeps going in your mind? And just tell yourself, look, this is not the time. It's 2:30 a.m. This is not the
I
time.
do the
Just like
box
this
breathing.
trouble.
I Yeah.
Yeah.
What I do the box breathing. I definitely do the breathing.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's funny because the box breathing is just like counting sheep. It
Mm-hmm.
really is the same thing. So instead of going one sheep, two sheep, three, instead of that, you breathe 1, 2, 3,
Mm-hmm.
4. Exhale. One. It's the same thing. And you
Mm-hmm.
keep doing that until you're like sleeping. Box breathing definitely works for me.
Mm.
But sometimes, like I said, sometimes I realize there's something going on here that unconsciously, literally, sleep has introduced. And maybe I
Yes.
need to work it out
Yeah.
because consciously I'm rough riding right over it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even realize it's happening. and it's in sleep, like you'll have one of those, I think we all have them. Um, those personal stress dreams. Now,
Mhm.
mine used to be, um, mine still is. This is one of my stress dreams to this day. I'm in high school and I'm naked. And I'm in the halls, not wearing any clothes. And everybody's looking at me going, she's naked. And I'm in high school. And I'm like, oh my God. Or I'm in high school. It's always in high school. I'm in high school and I don't know where first period is. I don't know where second period is. I don't know who my teachers are. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I don't know what time it is. Or these are all the same. This is like when I wake up after one of these stress dreams, I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Mhm.
I know I'm stressful now. Obviously, there's no high school to be afraid of. Um, Another one of my stress dreams is I'm home and I need to go to college to be in my first class, but
Mhm.
college is miles away. How am I
Mm.
going to get there? I'm going to be late. Do I get in the car? It's 8 hours away. I'll never make the class. So they're all the same. I think a lot of us have similar. Do you have a recurring stress dream? Please tell
Yeah.
me.
Well, oh, yes, I do. Like, well, not like all in high school, not like, but
No, no, it's your dream. This is obviously
the
this represents stress to me.
yeah, this the recurring theme is just the utter confusion. Being someplace where something's supposed to happen, I'm like, fully chaotic, and I have no idea where I am, what I'm supposed to do, and and I'm supposed to figure it out. There we go.
Yeah, I think we all have those nightmares, those types of. I
Mhm.
mean, aside from the boogeyman nightmare where it's like you wake up and you're like, oh my God. Aside from that, that could be, those are utter fear nightmares, and they could be from anything. They could be
Mhm.
because you're sleeping and there's a sound outside and you're sort of in between waking and sleeping and you hear the sound but you're sleeping, and now your body says flee or fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Our bodies are very interesting little things. We sometimes forget that there are all of these things happening without 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 with these involuntary things happening that they're involuntary. We have no control over them. We're breathing, our stomachs are churning, acid's flowing through, our brains are doing, I mean, all these things are happening, and we sometimes forget about that.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll literally have a moment where, oh, that was an odd feeling. What was that? And it's not like a pain. It's just like almost like an odd thought for a second, whereas it's like a bummer type of a thought. And I'm like, where did that come from? What caused that? And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a chemical. It's a chemical.
Mhm.
Something, some chemical just coursed through my body for a moment. Maybe it imbalanced me, caught me off guard. Maybe, I'm like, oh, I'm better now. Okay. But if it continuously happens, I think I should see a doctor type of a thing. It's not like a pain. Like I said,
Mhm.
it's just, I used to, well, I stopped drinking alcohol because every time I drank alcohol, I had this feeling of what? No. Mm. And I'm like, oh, what? You know what? I'm drinking and I'm getting this feeling of I don't want to be here. So maybe I should stop drinking. And lo and behold, I stopped drinking and and the feeling went away. It was an out of control feeling. I was like, I'm sort of having a drink to be able to relax and I'm feeling out of control. And I don't like that feeling either. So obviously I shouldn't be drinking. I need to learn another way to relax.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
Well, there's a lot to the confidence game.
Mhm. Exactly, and
A
it's
lot,
forever
a lot.
for the rest of your life.
Is
So,
there is there is there a way that people can find you? Thanks, by the way, thanks for meeting me here in this little space to talk about my hot word of the day. Is there a place that people can find you? Where are you on the internet so that people can find you,
The
easily
best
find
place is LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, I'm very present and I post and yeah, you can find me easily there and just send me a DM or engage in the comments. That's how I love to be in
you? Is
touch
there
with
a
people.
company name or how do you spell your name? Let people know where they can find you.
Well, my name is Paul, so Paula, Naef, Naeff, and that's how you find me on LinkedIn. And then my company name is Tim, Tim, like the word or the name Tim. This is me. That's where it comes from. This is me. And so you can also go to timthisisme.com. That's the website. Not always so up to date, but it's there and you can contact me from there too. So, yeah, thank you so much.
It's been a wonderful for me, wonderful Friday afternoon. Thanks so much, Paula.
Yeah, thank you. Such a pleasure.
And there you go.